Last year I flew from San Francisco to Sydney, the longest airplane flight I ever did, and I was just going bonkers on the plane. What do you do when you're on a long flight? How do you get through those type of things?
It's funny you should say that, because my favorite flight in the world is actually Los Angeles-Sydney. It's a 12 or 13-hour flight. It's non-stop. I like to fly Qantas. And sometimes when I'm really tired, I think, just get me on a plane to Sydney. I don't want to get off the plane when I get at the other end, because then I have to deal with the press, and if I could just go to my family's house, I'd be happy. But I sleep. I read and I sleep. And I just kind of hibernate on the plane.
Well, what do you do if you have the seatmate from hell next to you, the person who just wants to yap with you the whole time?
Make it very clear that I'm not in a talking mood, and believe you me, the wrath of Elle on a plane when she doesn't want to talk, you do not want to experience.
Okay. Well, last time we spoke, we talked about weird movies that have been proposed to you. I made a joke about, do you ever get scripts like Model by Day, Commando by Night, and you said that you had been offered something similar.
There was that movie called Model by Day, Something by Night. Do you remember that?
Well,
Famke Jensen made that. I think she did a very good job of it, actually, but yeah.
Okay, well, what have been some of the weirdest movie proposals that you've received that didn't pass muster?
Well, there has been many of them that have been, well, not that many. There have been some wackos out there, but basically I'm very fortunate that I've had great propositions to work with wonderful people, and I've taken most of them on.
When we talked on Sirens, I mean, that was basically your first film role, and there are people looking to see, well, can she act? And you obviously have proven you're a wonderful actress, but in that time, did you ever go to auditions where you ever felt like the casting people just wanted to meet you, the producers, and they weren't too serious about casting you?
No, most of the time it happens the other way. I go to auditions and they're serious about casting me, and I get there and I fail miserably at the audition. That's normally the way that it works. But, well, there are good times, like with this movie. But no, I'm fortunate. I have a very serious group of people around me that direct me very well and guide me very well. And, I think that I've met some fabulous people in the industry, and I haven't come across any kind of people that have tried to take advantage of me in any way.
Well, turning to this film, did you feel cheated that you didn't get to fight the bear?
I wish that I'd spent a lot more time with Bart. I felt cheated with Bart on a few levels. First of all, Bart earned so much money for doing this movie. He earned more than I did. But then again, he's more important than I am in the movie, I guess. But, and I didn't get a chance to fight with him, or even there was an animatronic there at some stage, and I did get to see that. But I did meet Bart. I felt very happy to have met him.
I really enjoyed watching your movie appearances. If Lucy Fell, loved you in that.
Thank you.
You've been in the Batman film, worked with Barbara Streisand. Now, with Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin, what did you take away from this film?
Working with Anthony and Alec was one of the most inspiring experiences I've ever had. And, Alita Mahori is a wonderful director, and David Mamet is a brilliant writer. And I think this character was interesting for me because there was such a level of ambiguity. And with Mamet, his thing that we know Mamet about is reading in between the lines. In fact, the dialogue that is not said. And there was a lot of that in this movie, and I find it very powerful to see what Anthony did with this, and how Alec portrayed that, and it was interesting for me to actually to create a subtext that was so rich.
And I have one last question. There was a magazine article. I know your modeling days are behind you.
Right.
You're acting now, but there was this article called "How to Date a Supermodel," and it was funny because it said you can easily date a supermodel because no one's asking them out because people think they have a date. Like, when you say go to a social function, like when you're not unattached, have you ever gone someplace and walked to the room and no one talks to you because they're too scared to come up?
Well, I think it's a vice versa thing. I get very self-conscious when I walk into a room, a crowded room, and I'll immediately head for a bar and a corner to kind of hide in unless I know somebody in the room. So I think it's kind of, and it happens both ways. I think people are intimidated, and I get intimidated. But, you get over that, and then you get on with life.